Thank you for participating in today's meeting. If attending in person, please do not connect to Zoom or teleconference while in the room, and please silence all devices. If translation is provided, click on the globe at the bottom of your screen to select either English or Spanish. Public comment will be taken after each item. If you're in the auditorium and wish to comment, please use the iPads located in the lobby or complete a blue speaker card as available. If you need assistance, please find a South Coast AQMD employee. Speakers may be limited to a total of 3 minutes or less for all agenda items. Times may be shortened to ensure all speakers can be heard. A countdown timer will be displayed on the screen for each public comment. More time will be allotted for Spanish translation that is not simultaneous. For questions or issues on making a public comment, please call the public advisor at 909-396-2432. That's 909-396-2432. Please adhere to the speaker time limit and treat others with courtesy, civility, and respect. Failure to do so can result in your mic being muted or you being removed from the meeting. Be aware that this meeting is being recorded. By participating, you authorize recording of audio and visual content presented during the live event and consent to subsequent use of the recording in the public domain by South Coast AQMD.
Good morning.
Morning, Chair.
Are we ready to go? I'll call the meeting to order. Can we get a roll call, please?
Good morning, Vice Chair Cacchiotti.
Here.
Board Member Krakoff, absent. Supervisor Perez, absent. Mayor McCallan.
Here.
Chair Delgado.
I'm here.
We have a quorum.
And I did see Board Member Krakoff's name on there. Is it because he's still on the board for another week or so?
His notice officially was until April 3.
That's what I thought. Okay. All right. Does anybody have any board member concerns?
Not here.
Okay. There's no approved travel on the agenda or out of country travel, right, Wayne?
That's correct.
All right. So we're cruising through. I'll be watching for public comment as well for any hands that get raised.
And there's no public comment here in the auditorium, Madam Chair.
Okay. Any comments or questions on the board agenda for April?
I would just note, Chair, that we will do in a set public hearing, determine that the proposed amendments to Reg 3 fees are exempt from CEQA, amend Reg 3 fees, and adopt the executive officer's proposed goals and priority objectives, as well as proposed budget for fiscal year 25-26. Also want to note that at the January 10, 2025 board meeting, the public hearing was set for May 2nd for the board meeting to certify the subsequent environmental assessment for proposed amended Rule 1111, reduction of NOx emissions from natural gas-fired furnaces, and proposed amended Rule 1121, reduction of NOx emissions from small natural gas-fired water heaters, and amend Rule 1111 as well as Rule 1121. And I only raise that issue because I know that we were made aware of some conflicts at our last meeting, so that may want to be addressed. There are no public hearings. Sorry.
No, I just wasn't sure if that is handled at stationary source. Is it next week?
I'm sure it'll be addressed at Stationary Source Committee.
Yeah, and if perhaps that would be the direction, is that appropriate?
Yes.
Okay. I was
There
made
will
aware
be
of
a-
those conflicts, yeah, and I'm supportive of moving that item.
Thank you. And then I just wanted to note finally that there will be a staff presentation on the overview and progress of the multiple air toxics exposure study, our MATES 6 in presentation in lieu of a board letter.
Okay, great. Board members, any comments or questions on that?
Nope.
Okay. That brings us to compensation of board assistants. We do have a motion that's required there.
I'll move the item. Second.
All right. Can we get a vote on that? Roll call vote, please.
Vice Chair Cacchiotti.
Yes.
Board Member Krakoff, absent. Supervisor Perez, absent. Mayor McCallan.
Yes.
Chair Delgado.
Yes.
Motion passes 3 with 2 absent.
Okay, and I'll just note that I don't see any hands raised for public comment, so we'll keep going. That brings us to Dr. Herb Johnson on internal engagement activity report.
Hello, happy Friday.
Happy
Well,
Friday.
And it's March, so it's Women's History Month. So I'm really excited to share with you all a wonderful person that I became aware of for our Fabulous Female Friday. If we could go to the next slide, please. This is just proof, like, as I even do the research, I get educated as well. And so this is Wangari Maathai. She is a Kenyan environmental activist. She was the first African woman to be awarded the Nobel Peace Prize. She founded the Green Belt movement, which focused on environmental conservation with women's rights. She initiated and led to the planting of over 50 million trees in Kenya to fight deforestation and to empower women economically in her country. And so she won the Nobel Peace Prize. And so this is Wangari Maathai. She died in September of 2011, but I just thought it would be great to elevate her in our education. So thank you very much. Next slide. Really proud that our team continues to be innovative in our approach to increase our staff's awareness of all the issues impacting all of our communities, disproportionately impacted by air pollution. And so I asked members of the CARB Office of Community Air Protection to join us in a strategic planning session on February 26th. We had 53 attendees from across the state, CARB, both up in Sacramento and Riverside. We also invited some of our CSC members to be in attendance. And it was really just a unique way as we're kind of getting close to much of our SERP implementation deadlines to really look at innovative solutions to addressing the issues that impact this work. In particular, we were really looking at the training and the education that was needed to do this work because people are so impacted by intersections of so many different things around social injustice and so forth. And so there really was an acknowledgement in the need for resilience and how do we do this work amid all of these kind of political changes. So you can see that we had just a diverse group of people represented, and the day was a really good day. I think we got a great deal accomplished, and there are several action items moving forward. So this is our, we call C3PO, Critical Community Conversations for Purposeful Outreach. I know it's Star Wars. Next slide, please.
Before we leave this slide, if we might, what
please.
were the solutions or outcomes of the meeting, for instance?
For instance, I would say that there was really addressing where we might have some communication issues between ourselves and CARB. We wanted to talk about how do we elevate the AB 617 program from a research perspective. So we've done all of this work, but how are we going to measure success? How are we going to make sure that there is education around that? So what is going to be our strategy to develop initiatives, research, surveys, evaluation of the program? Another solution was to set up a time to potentially do this on a statewide level. And so potentially inviting the other air quality management districts to join us in the conversation. So really talking about and moving us forward in terms of that kind of documentation.
Thank you.
Of course. Next slide, please. We also had the very next day a statewide convening. These are the folks that are really doing a lot of the forward planning around diversity, understanding kind of statewide concerns relevant to our communities that are, again, impacted by pollution. It was also for us to really think about critical thinking approaches to navigate, again, all the things that are going on. What I'm most proud about this is that for the past 4 years, as I've been here, I convened a group of people who were doing the work that I was doing to come together once a month. And so this was the first time we all got together in person here at South Coast. We had about, looks like about 30 folks present, but if you see here on the slide, they represented a great diversity of folks from across the state. So it wasn't just our folks, but we looked at Bay Area was able to participate, AWIHA, we had Office of DPR was present, and so we had a great deal of representation. And again, continuing our partnerships, networking with CAPCOA, to really track the importance of the work that we're doing, identify any changes that we need to address, and really, again, back to my point earlier, evaluating success so we make sure the right metrics have been identified so that we can measure community engagement, trust building, and then alignment with strategic goals that we've established. And so that was our statewide convening that we had at the end of February. Next slide, please. And again, we continue to work with our employee resource groups. We have 9 that are active. And so there's just been really a response to, how what is impacting the different groups. So in our LGBTQ, they're wanting to really look at some potential inclusion of pronoun issues, the importance of that, really looking at with our Persian group. They were really excited to celebrate Persian New Year, so we're working with them to schedule that. Our allies and advocates group really wanted to kind of praise our AHR team for the recent passing of one of our staff members and just how that was addressed. And so they really advocated for how our agency addressed that. And then just our API group really wanted to make sure we are doing what we can to safeguard members of our communities because of all the particular issues that are going on. When you look at some of our AB 617 communities especially, there's just an increased anxiety going on with folks. And so we're just wanting to make sure that our staff know how to handle those issues with the communities. Next slide, please.
Question,
Oh, please.
please.
Mhm.
On the LGBTQIA+, is there an increased hate crimes anywhere in the district or in our groups here? I've not perceived any increase in hate crimes.
So there have been situations, not an increase particularly in our area, but we have been reported by staff just increased concerns of things that are happening on a national level and that we want to be a little bit more proactive and not so much reactive. So just how can we be more aware and what we can do to be supportive? So no, it's just an awareness of what's happening. But on a national level, yes, sir, there has been an increase in hate crimes toward LGBT folks.
And is this something that we should be doing, as this district should be doing?
In terms of our responsibilities?
Yeah.
Yes. So my response to that is when you look at the data that shows that the communities that we are in our particular area that are disproportionately impacted by air pollution, that has a significant population of LGBTIA people, also homeless people. And so as it does impact our work, we want to make sure that our staff are skilled on how to address those issues. As a social issue, no, it's not necessarily air quality. It's more about how do we protect the community that is disproportionately impacted and paying attention to those communities' needs. So that's how we approach the work, sir.
On the API plus, do we have any issues with ICE coming into the district?
That we have been told, we have been aware of there is situations in some of our AB 617 communities where an increased ICE presence, we have been made aware of that, sir, yes. And it is impacting people who are members of our CSCs for the AB 617 community and so forth. So yes, they're definitely documented that as well and have let us know that there's a concern.
But is that, again, something the district is responsible for?
No, and nor would I say it is the responsibility of our district. We're just simply elevating it as a concern that our community has made us aware of. And so we're definitely not saying that it's ours to solve, it's just us to be aware of and to provide opportunities for our staff to be skilled in how to address that. Because as we do have our responsibilities, our community engagement, we want to make sure that our staff is aware that this is what communities will be feeling. And so it maybe, interacts and impacts how we work with them. So I'm definitely like saying it's not our responsibility to address, it's just how to help our staff be able to work with the community who is experiencing it.
Mayor, if I may, I'd like to also add, it is important for our staff to understand that these type of conditions exist. And the reason I say that is because recently we had field inspectors that were perhaps misidentified as ICE representatives. And it put our inspectors in a very awkward and difficult situation. So we want to make sure that our staff is aware of these kind of issues. And we want to make sure that we take steps to inform our staff what to do in those kind of situations. So from that perspective, it's definitely our responsibility to make sure we understand what's going on. And I think the other aspect is, with that same aspect with regards to ICE, our inspectors have been misidentified as ICE, and that has a very chilling effect on neighborhoods. So understanding these things is very important for our staff and how to deal with it, how to garner confidence. We want to make sure that people know that as the South Coast AQMD, we're there to protect public health. We're there to make sure that all these things are being done appropriately. So it is something that we are very concerned about.
So do our inspectors have anything that identifies them as AQMD?
Yes, we do. We have marked cars. We have clothing that identifies that. I think the point that you make is something that we're also trying to evaluate, maybe to be more clear on that, so that people do have that confidence that we're there for the reasons that are we're supposed to be there for.
Good, thank you.
Thank you.
I just have a quick question. It kind of interesting, the March 12th Nova's performance. Can you describe where, was it held here? That's very interesting to me.
Yes, and so it was held this past Wednesday, and we'll have video and pictures to show you next month. We had about 130 employees in attendance, and what we were told by the folks who are in our group, our Persian ERG, is that they aren't necessarily able to celebrate this in their home country of Iran, and to have any kind of joy, any kind of celebration isn't really happening. And so to have something happen here at our building for agency, so there was dancing, there was music, it was just really a great celebration. But again, I think what was the kind of purpose of why we do this is that we had so many staff who were not Persian, who were in attendance, and who were able to, it was quite educational, learning about the food, learning about the drink, learning why they celebrate it. It's very kind of in alignment with our own spring celebrations. But I would also echo that when I first arrived about 4 years ago, the Persian Employee Resource Group had talked of wanting to do this in person, but we were virtual. And so we've done a lot of information, we've done a lot of videos, but this was the first time that they were able to showcase their culture in front of, all of the employees, and they got me up dancing. It was great. It was awesome. It was awesome.
Thank you. That's
Yes,
great.
yes, you'll have tons of pictures next month. Yes, thank you. And so again, here are our display, and thank you so much also, Mayor McCallum, for the questions. I'm glad to be able to respond to those. So here are displays for JEDI and the African American Heritage Month, and then also it's really important for our API Plus ERG and our JEDI team to also offer information about remembrances. And so it was a Japanese internment anniversary, and so we had a remembrance display for that in the month of February as well. Next slide. And then here again, we provide infographics to our employees in case they're not able to come to our displays. And so we put together a Japanese Internment Remembrance Day infographic, and then that's the information here. And you also, through your own packet, can click on the link and get that information. Next slide. Any questions?
Thank you so much, and really appreciate the clarification on some of those questions. I think, Mayor McKellen, they're good questions, but I really think it's appropriate based on what experiences our inspectors are going through. So in that context, I think it's all
I agree
going
with you.
well. Any other questions for Dr. Hurd Johnson? No? Okay, thank you so much. I still don't see any hands raised online, so we'll go to Ron's report on ongoing and upcoming projects. Item number 7.
Good morning, Ron Moskowitz, Chief Information Officer and Deputy Executive Officer for Information Management. We have launched a new wildfire air monitoring site. The site visualizes air quality data from the Palisades and Eaton fire areas, showing PM 2.5 and PM 10 readings since February 20th, when air monitoring equipment were deployed, along with air toxic metals at 2 locations. The web app allows users to view wildfire and monitoring station locations on a map and access real-time pollution data. This data helps identify pollution sources, pollutants, and air quality impacts in affected communities. And information management worked closely with Jason Lowe's team and the monitoring and analysis division to deploy these updates. I'm also happy to announce that we implemented a new position management software for our PeopleSoft system, and we replaced our aging UPS, which is an uninterruptible power supply system that has been in use since the building's construction. Everything else is on schedule, and happy to answer any questions.
Thank you. Any questions for Ron?
Great work.
Thank you.
Okay. I don't see any hands raised online, so that takes us to item number 8. Sujata on the various fixed assets from the inventory.
Yes, good morning, Chair, and good morning, members of the committee. Sujata Jain, Chief Financial Officer. This item is to surplus and dispose fixed assets that have become obsolete. Attachment A is a list of equipment that need to be disposed. The total acquisition cost for these assets was $438,543.46. All assets are fully depreciated. Attachment B is a list of vehicles that need to be disposed. The total acquisition cost of these was $722,349.27. And these vehicles too are fully depreciated. The total assets being requested to be disposed are $1,160,893. I'm happy to take any questions on that.
Thank you. Go ahead.
Thank you, Madam Chair. When we do sell these at auction, just in a ballpark range, how much do we get? Is there like an estimate or anything?
So for the vehicles, Vice Chair, we do get some money as they're being disposed, and the average for a vehicle is about $1,500.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. If there are no other questions, this item requires a motion.
Move approval?
Second.
Great. I don't see any hands raised for public comment, so I'll ask for a roll call vote, please.
Vice Chair Cacchiotti?
Yes.
Board Member Krakow, absent. Supervisor Perez, absent. Mayor McCallum?
Yes.
Chair Delgado?
Yes.
Motion passes 3 with 2 absent.
Great. Thank you. Jason's got item number 9.
Great. Good morning, Chair and members of the committee. Jason Lowe, Deputy Executive Officer for the Monitoring Analysis Division. So for item 9, South Coast AQMD is expected to receive around $780,000 from the US EPA for the Photochemical Assessment Monitoring Stations program. This action is to recognize the revenue and appropriate around $390,000 into the monitoring analysis budget, and to issue solicitations and purchase orders for an air monitor and a shelter. With that, I'm happy to answer any questions.
Thank you. Board members' questions? This item requires a motion.
Move approval.
Second?
Okay. I don't see any hands raised, so I'll ask for a roll call vote, please.
Vice Chair Cacchiotti?
Yes.
Board Member Krakow, absent. Supervisor Perez, absent. Mayor McCallum?
Yes.
Chair Delgado?
Yes.
Motion passes 3 with 2 absent.
Great. Jason's got item number 10 as well.
I do. Thank you. So this item involves Rule 1180, for which oil refineries fund the installation and operation of fence line and community air monitors. For the implementation of the recently adopted amendments, these actions are to transfer and appropriate $2.2 million from the Rule 1180 Special Revenue Fund and also appropriate $330,000 from the general fund to the monitoring analysis budget, and to also issue purchase orders for air monitoring equipment and also a liftgate system for a vehicle. With that, I'm happy to answer any questions.
Okay. Questions, board members, or motion?
Move approval.
Second.
Okay, no hands raised online. So roll call, please.
Vice Chair Cacchiotti?
Yes.
Board Member Krakow, absent. Supervisor Perez, absent. Mayor McCallum?
Yes.
Chair Delgado?
Yes.
Motion passes 3 with 2 absent.
Thank you, Jason. All right, that brings us to item number 11, to real-time public alerts of hydrogen sulfide events.
Morning. My name is Scott Epstein. I'm the Planning and Rules Manager in the Planning Division. So we maintain 3 air quality monitors in the Eastern Coachella Valley that measure hydrogen sulfide. Much of that comes from the Salton Sea. We have a contract with Sonoma Technology to maintain a system for email notifications and a website to post real-time values. This is the 3rd time we want to start a new contract with them to continue maintaining the system at $19,300 per year, and then also give us the opportunity to integrate any future additional hydrogen sulfide monitors into their system. And I can take any questions.
Thank you. Questions or motion, board members?
Move approval.
Second.
Okay, I still don't see any hands raised online, so I'll ask for a roll call, please.
Vice Chair Cacchiotti?
Yes.
Board Member Krakow, absent. Supervisor Perez, absent. Mayor McCallum?
Yes.
Chair Delgado?
Yes.
Motion passes 3 with 2 absent.
Great. All right, we have no written reports, and I don't have any other business. So that brings us to public comments. I'll open it up, and we do have a speaker. Harvey Etter would like to speak on public comment.
Hello, am I being heard?
Yes, Harvey.
Yes, all right. Good morning. My name's Harvey Etter. I'm speaking for myself and for Public Solar Power Coalition and like-minded folks and entities. This is the 3rd meeting of this morning. The first one at 8 o'clock was investments. Then there was a legislative at 9, and now this one. All 3, you could not download the agenda. Okay, it's illegal. All right, we keep on bringing this up. We're going to have to take some action on it anyway. I wanted to point that out, and we constantly bring it up. Also, I want to incorporate by reference an article in Cal Matters by the guy that used to be insurance commissioner for the state. And he basically wrote an article. It was also in the local paper here in Santa Monica, the Daily News. And it said that insurance companies should not have to pay for the damage for the fires. They're talking about because of the line catching from SoCal Edison sparking it. And they said basically that he was concerned about the integrity of the industry, and the industry siding with the finance. We've got regulated, unregulated banks called shadow banks, and one owns the other.
Thank you, Mr. Etter, but that's not a subject within the jurisdiction of this committee. Please confine your comments to matters within this committee's jurisdiction. Thank you.
Okay, look, this is political economics. Okay, you're messing with us.
Thank you. We can move on.
All right, I don't see any other hands raised. I think this may have been one of the fastest admin committees we've had. Is there anything else that we have to go? I don't want to finish. We're done. All right. Thank you.
Madam Chair, I do have one quick question. It'll be less than a minute.
Okay, yeah, go for it.
You know, as I was reading the Coachella Valley, the testing over there, we approved the contract. So once people are alerted of those high levels of the hydrogen sulfide, what happens? Do we do anything? Or, I mean, people get alerted and the rotten egg smells coming, or what? Just tell them, just curious.
There are two types of alerts. So one is the real-time alerts that come from the measurements. And when levels go above the state standard of 30 ppb, they'll get an email notification. Now, the standard is really a nuisance standard. So we don't expect to have health effects at that level, besides maybe some kind of short-term uncomfortable nausea and foul odor. We do also issue air quality advisories for prolonged events that we can forecast ahead of time. So that typically occurs in the summer, and then we'll send out an air quality advisory ahead of the event and say kind of how long we expect it to continue and kind of when we expect to see the highest levels.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Okay, well, see you all at admin next month on April 11th. Have a wonderful weekend.
Bye.
Bye.
Joy. Bye-bye.
Thanks, everyone. Thank you, Chair.